Tommy, what was your reasoning behind the decision today?
Well, I think as in anything, you have to take a holistic look at how you just evaluate a program and whether or not you feel like it's headed in the right direction. And so for us, just really just taking a step back as we would with any sport and just asking ourselves the question is, can we do better? And do we have the right leadership in place? And again, those decisions are very difficult, and they're not the decisions are not taken lightly. But at the end of the day, we felt like that decision needed to be made. And obviously when you look at, win-loss record, I'm sure people will focus on that. And so that's probably the most glaring thing. But, we've just got to improve as a program. We've moved into Conference USA. Is a more difficult league. There's no doubt about it. But the expectations are still high for that sport. And, we're trying to meet those expectations.
Could you walk us through maybe what you were thinking as the season went on and how you ended up coming to that decision? I know that's something you did with Coach Spoon, and you said at this point you saw this, and how
Sure.
you were going through it.
Well, I think that in no one sport can be compared to another, and so it just as in any individual, is different, and so each sport and each program is different. For us, I think this is just an opportunity where we've got to get an injection of energy and we've got to get something to turn around. Coach Simoneaux has done so many great things for this university. Facilities have improved under his watch. Academics are in very good standing. So it's not a total collapse of a program, and by any stretch of the imagination. But from a win-loss perspective, we've got something's got to turn, and so that's obviously a focus for us right now as we move into a new league that's extremely competitive, and we'll put multiple teams in a tournament. And we want to just be in a position to be one of those teams that can go to the tournament. That's the great thing about Conference USA is we're not asking a coach to come in here and win the league to get to the NCAA tournament. We've got to be competitive. We've got to be in the top of that group. And Conference USA, I think, just recently was just the top 5 conference in the entire country in terms of baseball. And so you could look at that as, wow, the competition is really tough. That's unfair. Or you can look at it as, wow, if we get in the top group, we're going to be in the NCAA tournament. And that's kind of where we're focusing.
You mentioned some of the off the field stuff that he's done. Why do you think he wasn't able to succeed when loss-wise?
I don't know if going backwards, what we could say. I mean, there may be a couple of things, and certainly he may give a perspective to that. I think as in anything, you always, when you make a change, you have to evaluate your program. What do you need to do to be successful moving forward, even with a new coach? And so, we'll be focused on those things. The facilities are very nice, and having been around a decent baseball league before in the Southland Conference that has produced multiple teams, Louisiana Tech has got a nicer facility than most anybody in that league. And so I think that, that's number one, that's what we're going to sell is a great university, a great baseball stadium, a good fan base. We set a season ticket record this year coming into the season for tickets sold. And so I think that there's a fan base that's hungry for baseball, and we're going to try to deliver for that.
What's your timeline on finding a new coach, and have you guys started with that?
Yeah, I mean, it obviously starts today. We made the announcement around lunchtime, and we've already gotten phone calls, or I have, in terms of interest and stuff. And so we'll continue to collect those names and try to recruit coaches and see who's interested in where we're at. As in anything, we want to be fast, but we also want to be careful. And so we want to make sure that we're not missing something in the process. For me, I would say, it's probably a 2 to 4 or 5 week process. 2 on the short end, 5 on the very long end. Baseball is one of those sports where, here our student athletes are taking finals today, and then most will leave and go either play summer ball or be home for the summer. So not that leadership isn't required during that time, but it's not as pressing as, say, a basketball or a football job where it's in mid-season. And so we want to be real careful on how we proceed, but we will do it as quick as possible.
Tommy, you talked about some things that maybe to look at internally for reasons for success. Yeah, any ideas of what that might be that you might find when you're starting looking at that?
Well, there's no doubt that when you look at our budgets compared to others, we've got some areas that we can grow. But as I've said with anything, we've got to be surgical. to just throw money at a particular area to say, hey, I hope that grows. We're not in a position at Louisiana Tech to just throw money at something. We can be very specific and very detailed on what do we think, be very surgical on our efforts with funding. And so what are those things? Obviously, coach, getting a good coaching staff in here is something that we've got to make sure we're competitive with finances, recruiting, equipment, those type of things are very important. But most places would struggle with, how are we going to raise multi-million dollars to build a new facility or, renovate a locker room. Fortunate for us, we've got those things in place. And so we'll be really focused on the things that we think will have the most immediate impact towards our program as we try to increase the profile of it.
What are you doing with the rest of the coaching staff?
Obviously we're focused on the head coach, and then the head coach will come in and certainly evaluate his staff, look at internal candidates, and then whether or not they want to bring somebody. That's always kind of the position of the new coach, and so we wouldn't change that. That part of our industry is kind of normal. So,
Tommy, at McNeese, you hired a young and up and comer kind of in baseball. Is that kind of the profile you'll be looking for here?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think that I'm laughing just because everybody the young jokes. We hired a 21-year-old, but no. I think for us, it's all, everything is different from one sport to the next, one program to the next. Excuse me. For us, who knows what's out there, for us. But certainly, Justin Hill was a great hire when we were at McNeese and has done a great job there. But, every program has different needs and looks a little different in terms of what you think and what you're looking for. And I'm looking forward to that process. I think there will be a tremendous amount of interest in this job. Again, it's been 12 years since this position has been open. A lot has changed on our campus. A lot has changed academically, athletically. The profile of Louisiana Tech has grown tremendously in that period of time. And so I do expect that we will get a national, broad-based level of interest from various candidates across the country. And I think that's exciting for Louisiana Tech.
This is your second move since March, what you kind of dubbed as the win-loss, and that you wanted to change the direction of the program. What do you think that says about your, ideals as an AD to come in and be able to make quick changes when things are going south maybe?
Well, one is it's a timing thing. It's not something, I didn't take the job looking in and say, hey, let's make a bunch of changes. I don't think, I think in 7 years at McNeese, I think there was 3, maybe 4 coaches, and the 3 of those 4, I think, were done in the last year that I was there. So, I mean, you have to assess it. You have to assess the situation as it goes. And so it's, for me, whether it's coincidence, timing, or what, to have 2 coaches in this short of period of time, it's not that I went into the situation looking for that, but it is what has found me. And I think that in both situations, a decision was needed. We made a decision, and now we're moving forward with intention of improving the program.
Just a general question: do you think the leash has got shorter in terms just as an athletic director since you started, in terms of coaches as a whole, in terms of wins and losses and winning quickly, since you first started as an athletic director?
No, I would not say that at all. I think that it's just, not to say coincidence, but I do think that in these situations, these are independent cases and situations where you could say, oh, wow, look at this, all of a sudden there's decisions that are being made, but each one is different. I mean, who knows what the next situation would be like. And look, at the end of the day, these are not fun things. I mean, this is not something you desire. These are people with families. I mean, this is real life. This isn't make-believe. And so it's not an easy situation because you invest time in these people, you develop relationships. For me, it's been a short-term relationship because I just got here in August. But the reality is you have to be sensitive to that. And you don't go out seeking these things. You have to be the manager. You have to be the leader. It's an unfortunate part of our job. We certainly, don't wish bad things on people. But at the end of the day, we have an obligation and responsibility, with this, Louisiana Tech University and our fan base to do what we can to improve every aspect of our athletic department. And whether that's women's basketball, baseball, golf, tennis, whatever have you, those are the things that we're focusing on, in every sport. One more question.
We had mentioned you know, the recruiting budget and then just overall support. What are your comments on that, and how does someone coming in succeed in a program, in a sport in baseball that's obviously number 3 behind football and basketball?
Well, you know, with regards to you know, Coach Simoneaux's remarks in terms of his comments, I mean, you know, that's his assessment of the situation, and certainly, you know, we'll have an assessment as well. Again, there's no doubt our recruiting budget could be better, absolutely. But, you know, we've got to make sure that we're doing what we can to be smart with the money we have and be proactive. But, you know, I look for someone to come in here and be eager. I think that there's a coach out there that desires to be at Louisiana Tech, that can see beyond our circumstances. You know, I look at a Mike White. I mean, the fact is our men's basketball budget is still darn near last in Conference USA, yet we continue to have great success there. And I think that that's a great example. Does that mean that we're satisfied in that budget category with men's basketball? No, not at all. But we've got a person that can look beyond that and say, what are the things that we need to do to be successful and that can make us successful in midst of our circumstances? And in the process of that growth, you enhance the program. And that's what we're doing in men's basketball, and that's what we would look to do in baseball as well.